My name is Marcus Chin. I'm 32 years old, and I've been through hell to get here. It was supposed to be the night I finally made it. My dream had come true, but the people who were supposed to be there, they weren't. Every chair I had set aside for family, for those who should have been there, stayed empty. You know what? Let me back up. Let me tell you how I got here, because this story is about more than just empty chairs. It's about betrayal. It's about realizing that the people you love most in this world can hurt you in ways you never thought possible. I spent 3 years building this restaurant, 3 years of 18-hour days, of bleeding money I didn't have, of sacrificing everything, my social life, my relationships, my health, all for this dream. And through it all, through every struggle, every setback, every moment when I wanted to give up, I kept thinking about this night, opening night, the night when everyone I loved would see what I had built, the night when they would finally understand why I had to do this. I remember calling my mom 6 months before opening. "Mom," I said, "I need you to save the date. October 15th. That's opening night for the restaurant." And you know what she said? She said, "Of course, honey. We wouldn't miss it for the world." My brother said the same thing. My sister. My Aunt Karen, who raised me when my parents were too busy fighting to notice I existed. They all said they'd be there. I planned everything around them. I reserved the best table in the house, table 7, right in the center where they could see everything. I had the chef prepare their favorite dishes. I even bought my mom a corsage because she always said that made events feel special. I had it all planned out in my head. They'd walk in, they'd see what I had accomplished, and for once in my damn life, they'd be proud of me. But here's the thing about family. Here's the thing I learned that night that I wish someone had told me years ago. Just because someone shares your blood doesn't mean they share your dreams. Just because they say they love you doesn't mean they'll show up when it matters. The restaurant opened at 5 p.m. I got there at 2 to make sure everything was perfect. The flowers were arranged just right. The lighting was warm and inviting. The staff was trained and ready. I stood in that empty dining room and I felt so proud, so scared, but so proud. This was it. This was everything I had worked for. 5 o'clock came. The first customers started trickling in. Strangers, mostly. People who had seen our ads or read about us online. And I kept glancing at the door, waiting. My family said they'd be there by 5:30. "We want to be there right at the beginning," my mom had said. "We want to see it all." 5:30 passed, then 6. I started making excuses for them in my head. Traffic was probably bad. Maybe they were running late from work. Maybe they stopped to buy me flowers or something. You know how your mind works when you're desperate to believe the best in people? That was me, standing there in my restaurant, greeting strangers, shaking hands, taking pictures, and constantly looking over their shoulders for the faces that mattered most. It hurt. God, it hurt so much. To see the chairs, the ones I prepared with so much love, not filled. I thought for sure they'd come. I had spent weeks talking to them about this night. My mom had even asked what she should wear. My brother had joked about getting the first free meal. My sister had promised to bring her camera to document everything. But no, they didn't come. By the time I'd finished greeting strangers, taking photos, and pretending everything was okay, the room was full, full of strangers, but the ones who mattered most, they were nowhere to be found. I watched couples celebrating anniversaries at tables I had hoped would be filled with my family. I watched business groups toasting success while I stood there feeling more alone than I had ever felt in my life. I kept glancing at that empty corner. Table 7, with its perfect place settings and that damn corsage sitting in the middle like a monument to my stupidity. I told myself, it's okay, they're just running late. They're probably stuck in traffic. But as the minutes ticked by, I knew they just weren't coming. You want to know what the worst part was? The worst part was that I kept checking my phone. Every few minutes I'd pull it out, expecting to see a text. Running late, or be there soon, or even just sorry. But there was nothing. Radio silence. Like this night that meant everything to me meant absolutely nothing to them. I remember this one moment around 7 o'clock. I was standing by the kitchen, watching the dining room buzz with energy and laughter. And this wave of realization hit me. They're not coming. They're really not coming. And I felt this anger rising up in my chest, not just hurt, but rage, pure white-hot rage. How could they do this to me? How could they promise to be there and then just not show up? No call, no text, no explanation, just absence, just emptiness where love was supposed to be. It was getting late, and I still couldn't look away from that table. I told myself, maybe they'll surprise me. Maybe this is all just a mix-up. But the chairs were still empty, and by 8 o'clock, I knew it wasn't a mix-up. It was them choosing not to show up. It was them deciding that whatever else they had going on was more important than this moment in my life. And there I was, standing in the middle of my dream, with nothing but silence around me. I could hear the laughter from other tables, the clinking of glasses, the conversations about how amazing the food was, how beautiful the space looked. Everyone was having this incredible experience, and I realized my family wasn't part of this dream. I was alone. I had built this place thinking about them. Every decision, every detail, every sacrifice had been made with them in mind. I wanted them to be proud. I wanted them to see that all those years of struggling, all those times they told me I was wasting my time, all those moments when they made me feel like I wasn't good enough, I wanted to prove them wrong, but they weren't even there to see it. You know what's funny? Not ha-ha funny, but bitter, twisted funny? While I was standing there feeling abandoned, my phone started buzzing with notifications, social media posts from my family. My mom had posted pictures of herself at some friend's birthday party. My brother was at a bar with his buddies, posting videos of them doing shots. My sister was at home, posting about some TV show she was binge watching. They were all doing other things, normal, everyday things. While I was having the biggest night of my professional life, they were just living their regular lives. Like this meant nothing. Like I meant nothing. The anger was consuming me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to call them all and demand an explanation. I wanted to shame them, to make them feel as small and worthless as they had made me feel. But I couldn't. I had a restaurant full of customers who were counting on me to be present, to be professional, to be the gracious host. So I swallowed that rage. I pushed it down deep and kept smiling, kept thanking people for coming, kept pretending that everything was fine. But inside, I was breaking apart. Just when I thought it couldn't get worse, just when I was about ready to lock myself in the office and have a complete breakdown, something unexpected happened. A man walked into the restaurant. Tall, well-dressed, probably in his 50s. He had this presence about him, this confidence that made people notice when he entered a room. He walked straight up to me. Somehow he knew I was the owner, and he shook my hand. Firm grip, direct eye contact. "You must be Marcus," he said. "I'm David Richardson. I've been watching this place come together for months, and I have to say, what you've accomplished here is remarkable." I thanked him, still distracted by the empty table in my peripheral vision, still nursing that wound of abandonment. But then he said something that snapped me back to attention. "I represent a restaurant investment group," he said. "We specialize in identifying exceptional independent establishments and helping them expand. And Marcus, what you've built here, we'd like to make you an offer." A stranger came in when my family didn't. This man, who owed me nothing, who had no obligation to be there, had taken the time to come to my opening night, and he was offering me something my own family couldn't: recognition, validation, opportunity. He handed me his business card and told me his group was prepared to offer 6 figures for a partnership deal. 6 figures. More money than I had ever imagined seeing at once. All from a stranger who had been paying attention when the people who were supposed to love me couldn't be bothered to show up. We talked for about 20 minutes. He told me about other restaurants they had partnered with, about the potential he saw in my concept, about how rare it was to find someone with both culinary talent and business sense. And the whole time, I kept thinking about that empty table, about how a complete stranger was giving me more support and encouragement in 20 minutes than my family had given me in 3 years. When David left, he promised to call me the next day to discuss details. I watched him go, and I felt this strange mix of excitement and bitterness. Here was this incredible opportunity, this validation of everything I had worked for, and the people I wanted to share it with weren't even there to hear about it. Then the calls started. Oh God, then the calls started. My phone rang at 11 p.m., just as we were finishing cleanup from the first night. It was my mom. "Marcus, honey, how did opening night go?" How did it go? How did it go? I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to ask her where the hell she had been. But instead, I just said, "It went well, Mom." "Oh, I'm so sorry we couldn't make it," she said. And her voice had that fake sympathy tone that I knew meant she wasn't really sorry at all. Karen had this emergency with her neighbor's dog, and you know how she gets about animals. We had to help her get it to the emergency vet. An emergency with a neighbor's dog. That was the excuse. That was more important than being there for me on the most important night of my professional life. But here's the thing that really got me. She was lying. I knew she was lying because I had seen her social media posts. She hadn't been at any emergency vet. She had been at Linda Morrison's birthday party, drinking wine and laughing with the same group of women she'd been friends with since high school. "That's okay, Mom," I said, because what else could I say? "Maybe next time." "Oh, absolutely. Next time for sure. We're so proud of you, honey." Proud of me. She was proud of me, but not proud enough to show up. Not proud enough to keep her word. Not proud enough to be there when I needed her. My brother called the next morning. Same fake sympathy, different excuse. He had been called into work at the last minute. "You know how it is, man. They needed me for this urgent project." Except I knew that wasn't true either, because I had seen his Instagram stories from the bar. Multiple videos throughout the night, clearly drunk, clearly having a great time with his friends. Not at work, not dealing with any emergency, just choosing to be somewhere else. Then my sister called. Her excuse was even more insulting. She said she had forgotten. Just straight up forgotten. "I'm so sorry, Marcus. It completely slipped my mind. I was so busy with the kids. And then Tom came home late, and by the time I remembered, it was too late to come." Forgotten. 3 years of me talking about this restaurant, months of me specifically mentioning the opening date, weeks of confirming they would be there, and she forgot. Aunt Karen's excuse was the most creative. She said she had been there, but I had been too busy to notice her. She claimed she had come by around 6:30, looked through the window, saw how crowded it was, and decided not to bother me. Just turned around and left without even trying to come in. Even if that were true, which it wasn't, because I would have seen her, I was watching that door like a hawk all night. What kind of person does that? What kind of person drives to their nephew's restaurant opening and then leaves without even saying hello? But the truth was, they weren't there when I needed them most. And now they were trying to rewrite history, trying to act like they were there, that they were part of this journey. They all had their excuses, their reasons, their justifications for why they couldn't make it to the most important night of my life. You want to know what really hurt? It wasn't just that they didn't show up. It was that they clearly didn't think it was a big deal. In their minds, missing my opening night was just a minor inconvenience, something that could be smoothed over with a phone call and a half-hearted apology. They didn't understand that they had broken something in me that night. They had taken this moment that was supposed to be about celebration and achievement and turned it into a lesson about how little I mattered to them. The next few weeks were even worse. They all started calling more frequently, asking how the restaurant was doing, wanting updates on business, and I realized what was happening. Word was getting around town that the restaurant was successful. People were talking about the great food, the packed dining room, the buzz we were generating. Suddenly, my family was interested. Suddenly, they wanted to be part of the story. My mom started telling people that she had helped me plan the menu. Complete lie. She had never even seen the menu before opening night. My brother started claiming that he had given me business advice. Another lie. He had actively discouraged me from opening the restaurant, told me I was taking too big a risk. My sister started posting on social media about her brother's restaurant, sharing pictures she had found online and acting like she had been there from the beginning. The same sister who had forgotten to show up was now trying to take credit for my success. And Aunt Karen? She started telling everyone that she had always believed in me, that she had always known I would make it. This from the woman who had told me just 2 years earlier that I should give up on this restaurant nonsense and get a real job. They were trying to take credit for what I had done alone. They wanted to be part of the success story without having been part of the struggle. They wanted the glory without having earned it. I watched them for weeks, trying to insert themselves into my narrative, trying to claim ownership over my achievement. And the anger just kept building. Every fake congratulation, every false claim of support, every attempt to rewrite history just made me angrier. David Richardson called, just like he had promised. We met for lunch to discuss the partnership deal. 6 figures, just like he had said. The investment group wanted to help me open a second location within 18 months. They saw potential for a whole chain of restaurants based on my concept. I should have been ecstatic. This was beyond my wildest dreams. But all I could think about was how my family would react when they found out, how they would suddenly want to be even more involved, how they would try to take credit for this success, too. David noticed my hesitation. "Everything okay, Marcus? You seem distracted." I told him about opening night, about the empty chairs, about my family's absence, about how alone I had felt in my moment of triumph. I don't know why I opened up to this relative stranger, but something about his genuine interest in my success made me trust him. He listened without judgment, nodding occasionally, letting me get it all out. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment. Then he said something that changed everything. "Marcus, in my experience, the people who matter most are the ones who show up, not the ones who share your blood, not the ones who are supposed to be there, but the ones who actually are there. Family isn't about genetics, it's about loyalty, support, and presence. He was right. This stranger had shown more faith in me than my own family. He had seen my potential when they couldn't even be bothered to see my restaurant. That night, I made a decision. I was done pretending that my family's absence didn't matter. I was done accepting their excuses and their attempts to rewrite history. I was done waiting for them to become the people I needed them to be. I called my mom first. "Mom, we need to talk." "Of course, honey. What's going on?" "I need you to stop telling people you helped me with the restaurant. You didn't. You weren't even there on opening night." "Marcus, honey, you know how sorry I am about that. The thing with Karen's neighbor." "Stop," I said. "Just stop. I saw your social media posts that night. You were at Linda's party. You weren't dealing with any emergency. You chose to be somewhere else." Silence on the other end. Then, in a smaller voice, "Marcus, I'm not finished," I said. "For 3 years, I told you about this restaurant. For 3 years, I shared my dreams with you, my struggles, my fears. And when it finally happened, when I finally made it, you couldn't be bothered to show up. Do you have any idea how that felt?" "Marcus, you're being dramatic. It was just one night. Just one night. Just one night." That phrase hit me like a slap. To her, it was just one night. To me, it was everything. "It wasn't just one night, Mom. It was the most important night of my life, and you missed it. Not because you had to, but because you chose to." I could hear her getting defensive. "You know what, Marcus? You're being unreasonable. Things come up. Life happens. You can't expect everyone to drop everything just because you're opening a restaurant." Drop everything. Like showing up for your son's biggest achievement was some huge inconvenience. "You're right, Mom. I can't expect that. And I won't. Not anymore." I hung up. The call with my brother went similarly. He got angry when I confronted him about his lie regarding work. He accused me of being oversensitive, of holding grudges, of expecting too much from people. "It's just business, Marcus. It's not like it was your wedding or something. Just business. My life's work, my dream, my everything. Just business." My sister tried to turn it around on me. She said I was being cruel, that she had made an honest mistake, that families were supposed to forgive each other. "You're being really hurtful, Marcus. Is this restaurant more important than your family?" That question stopped me cold. Was the restaurant more important than my family? No. But my family had made it clear that the restaurant, and by extension, I, wasn't important to them. Aunt Karen was the worst. She doubled down on her story about being there, but not coming in. When I called her out on it, she got nasty. "You know what, Marcus? You always were an ungrateful child. After everything I did for you, raising you when your parents couldn't handle it, and this is how you repay me? By accusing me of lying? Everything she did for me, like basic child care, was some huge favor, like I owed her my eternal gratitude for doing what she was supposed to do. I'm not ungrateful, Karen, but I'm also not going to pretend that you were there when you weren't. You're being ridiculous. It was just a restaurant opening. It's not like it was a funeral or something. Just a restaurant opening. Just business. Just one night. They all had their ways of minimizing what they had done to me, of making me feel like I was overreacting for caring so much. But I wasn't overreacting. I was finally reacting appropriately to years of being treated like I didn't matter. Eventually, I decided I was done with phone calls. I was done with their excuses, their gaslighting, their attempts to make me feel guilty for being hurt by their abandonment. I was done pretending that their words meant anything when their actions had spoken so clearly. I decided to write them a letter, all of them. The same letter because they had all done the same thing to me. I spent hours writing it, revising it, making sure every word was exactly what I wanted to say. I wanted it to be clear, direct, and final. I wanted there to be no misunderstanding about where I stood. To my family, it began. I am writing this letter because I need to set some boundaries and make some things clear. I told them about opening night from my perspective. I described the empty chairs, the corsage wilting on table 7, the way I felt watching strangers celebrate while the people I loved most couldn't be bothered to show up. I told them about their lies, their excuses, their attempts to rewrite history. I called out each specific falsehood, each contradiction between their stories, and the evidence I had seen with my own eyes. I told them about the stranger who had valued my work enough to offer me a life-changing opportunity, about how his presence had meant more to me than their absence. And then I got to the heart of it. I have spent my entire life trying to earn your love, your approval, your presence. I have accomplished something extraordinary, and you weren't there to see it. Not because you couldn't be, but because you chose not to be. That tells me everything I need to know about how much I matter to you. I told them that I was done waiting for them to show up, done making excuses for their behavior, done accepting their half-hearted apologies and empty promises. The restaurant is my business, my success, my future. You are not part of it because you chose not to be part of it when it mattered most. You will not receive financial benefits from my success. You will not be involved in business decisions. You will not use your connection to me to gain social status or credibility. I set clear boundaries, no unannounced visits to the restaurant, no telling people they were involved in the business, no asking for money or favors related to my success. I am not cutting you out of my life entirely, but I am done pretending that you are the family I need you to be. From now on, our relationship will be based on what you actually provide, not on what I hope you might provide someday. I ended the letter with this: I love you all, but I love myself more. And loving myself means protecting myself from people who hurt me, even if those people are supposed to love me. I printed 4 copies of that letter. I hand-delivered them all on the same day. I wanted to see their faces when they read it. I wanted to watch the reality of their absence set in. My mom cried, real tears, not the fake ones she used to get her way. She begged me to reconsider, promised that things would be different, swore that she would never miss another important event. Too late, years too late. My brother got angry. He crumpled up the letter and threw it at me. You're being a dramatic asshole, Marcus. So we missed one night. Big deal. Get over it. Get over it. Like heartbreak was something you could just decide to move past. Like betrayal was a minor inconvenience. My sister tried to negotiate. What if we have a family dinner at the restaurant? What if we make it up to you? Make it up to me. Like this was some debt that could be paid off with a single meal. Aunt Karen told me I was dead to her. After everything I did for you, this is how you repay me? You're just like your father, selfish and ungrateful. There it was, the real her, the person who had been there all along, hiding behind fake concern and conditional love. I watched them all read that letter, watched their faces go through the stages of realization, shock that I had called them out, anger that I wasn't accepting their excuses, panic that I was setting boundaries, and finally, in some cases, a grudging acknowledgement that maybe, just maybe, they had hurt me more than they wanted to admit. But not one of them, not one, said the words I needed to hear. I'm sorry, I was wrong. I should have been there. Not one of them took real responsibility for what they had done. The silence that once haunted me now felt like peace. I had learned what it meant to stand alone. I didn't need their approval, their support, or their conditional love. I had built something that was truly mine. The restaurant continued to thrive. David's investment group came through with the partnership deal. We opened the second location 8 months later, not 18. The third location opened a year after that. I hired people based on competence and loyalty, not blood relation. I built a team of people who showed up, who cared about the work, who celebrated successes, and supported each other through challenges. I created the family I had always wanted, but never had. My staff became my family. The investors who believed in my vision became my family. The customers who came back week after week, who brought their friends, who celebrated their special occasions in my restaurants. They became my family. And you know what? They all showed up. Every single important moment, every milestone, every celebration, they were there. Because that's what real family does. They show up. My biological family tried to reconnect a few times over the years. They heard about my continued success, saw articles about me in local magazines, noticed that I was making money and gaining recognition. Suddenly, they were interested again. My mom called after the second restaurant opened. Marcus, I've been thinking about what you said, and I want to make things right. Too late. My brother reached out when he heard about the third location. Hey man, I know things have been weird between us, but I was wondering if you needed any help with the new place. Help. Now he wanted to help, after I had already proven I could do it without him. My sister sent me a long email about family forgiveness and second chances. She wanted to bring her kids to meet their uncle, wanted them to see what I had accomplished. Now she wanted her children to know me, after deciding I wasn't worth knowing herself. I didn't respond to any of them. I had said everything I needed to say in that letter. The boundaries I had set were not negotiable. Their absence had taught me more about their character than their presence ever could have. Sometimes, the best way to grow is to stop waiting for the people who never showed up. And when you stop waiting, you realize you're stronger than you ever thought. I realized I had been carrying their expectations, their disappointments, their limitations my entire life. I had been trying to prove myself to people who had already decided I wasn't worth their time. I had been seeking validation from the very people who were least equipped to give it. But I didn't need their validation anymore. I had created something beautiful, something successful, something meaningful. I had built a business that employed dozens of people, that brought joy to thousands of customers, that contributed to my community. I had achieved my dreams through my own hard work, dedication, and vision. Their absence hadn't broken me. It had revealed my strength. The anger I carried for so long had transformed into something else. Not forgiveness exactly, but acceptance. I accepted that they were who they were. I accepted that they would never be the family I had wanted them to be. And I accepted that I was better off without people who only wanted to be part of my success, not part of my struggle. I look back at that opening night now, 3 years later, and I see it differently. Yes, it was painful. Yes, it was a betrayal. But it was also a gift. It was the night I learned who really mattered. It was the night I stopped needing their approval and started approving of myself. That empty table wasn't a symbol of their absence. It was a symbol of my independence. Those empty chairs weren't a reminder of who wasn't there. They were a promise of who would be there in the future. People who showed up, people who cared, people who understood that presence is the most basic form of love. I built an empire from that pain. I turned their rejection into my motivation. I transformed their absence into my presence, in my restaurants, in my community, in my own life. And if they're listening to this, if somehow this reaches them, I want them to know something. I don't hate them. I don't wish them ill. I simply don't need them anymore. They taught me the most valuable lesson of my life, that I am enough all by myself. The success I've achieved, the happiness I've found, the peace I feel, none of it came from them. All of it came from learning to stop waiting for them. If you're watching this and you've ever felt abandoned, left out, or like your success was never truly celebrated by the people you thought would be there, I want you to know that you're not alone. I want you to know that their absence says nothing about your worth and everything about their limitations. I want you to know that you can build something beautiful from that pain. You can use their rejection as fuel for your own success. You can stop waiting for people who will never show up and start appreciating the people who already have. Hit that like button if this resonated with you. Subscribe if you want to hear more about building success on your own terms. And let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Let's talk about those moments that changed us. Let's remind ourselves that we're not alone. Not because we have the family we were born into, but because we have the strength to create the family we deserve. The chairs at table 7 are still there in my first restaurant, but now they're filled every night with people who chose to be there, people who show up, people who understand that presence is love, and love is presence, and that's all the family I'll ever need.